Hello and welcome to the Microsoft Azure webinar here at Westcoast. My name is Martin Smith and I'm the Azure specialist and I look after all good things Azure at Westcoast. If you do want to get a hold of me at any point, then my details are martin.smith@westcoastcloud.co.uk, or you can get a hold of the wider CSP team at csp@westcoastcloud.co.uk. So we're going to dive in today talking about Azure. It's not going to be an in-depth technical analysis of Azure. It's more going to be around the basics and the kind of what is, and a bit more about what is Azure licensing side support, and most importantly, while you're on this in the first place, is probably to know how to make money from Azure. So let's start off with what is Azure. Now, Microsoft's tagline for Microsoft Azure is the fact that it's a cloud service. And it's never been more relevant in terms of the evolution from the hosting side. When you look at what Azure can do today compared to only a year ago, it's quite amazing what it can do. So there's emphasis on the word service. And that's quite important because a lot of people who look at Azure, sometimes people think that it's a product or something you can touch, feel, or hold. It's not. There's a reason why there's an emphasis on the service side. So always imagine it as it's not a product, it is more of a service. And you access all these services all through the Azure Marketplace. And I've always thought of Microsoft Azure as a web-based portal. So you use this web-based portal to utilize all of your virtual machines, backup, storage, etc. And that's all accessed through this web-based portal. And this is what it looks like. This is a test environment, and you can customize it as you like. And as you can see on the left-hand side, you've got all the services that you can actually spin up within the Azure portal. And again, it's very customizable, the dashboard, so you can use it as you like. And on to the next. So through that dashboard, what you can see and what you can do with it is that the most common things are things like virtual machines, and then you have your networking and you have your storage and backup on this side as well. So it's not just a service where you can just utilize the infrastructure side. You can then look at the platform as a service. You can even integrate the storage side from software. So give it a go and have a look. If you do want to have a go at yourself, then just go to portal.azure.com, and there's even a free trial on there. Or you can just jump straight in with the CSP side, and there's trials we can do on CSP as well, so csp@westcoastcloud.co.uk. Now, just to go into the data center side. So if you are based in the UK, then the nearest data centers are UK South, which is in London, and then UK West, which is Wales. And they are the sister data centers of each other. And if you're in Europe, then Microsoft's definition of North Europe is apparently Dublin, and then Western Europe is Amsterdam. So that's UK South, UK West, North Europe, and West Europe. Currently, as of today, we're on the 2nd of May, and at the moment we have 50 regions worldwide in over 140 different countries. And it was less than half of that only a few years ago, so it's growing and growing and growing as we go along. So just to go into it in a little more detail. What we have is the best place to actually begin with this is by going on to the Azure calculator. Now, a lot of people do get a bit baffled by the calculator because it's not the easiest of tools to use, but it is the best place to get information on pricing, as you can probably tell, but also product information on all the things that you can run in Azure. So I'd highly recommend getting your head around it, and if you need any help at any point, then just contact Westcoast and we can absolutely help you with that. We do entire training sessions based on the calculator alone. To build a basic environment with Azure, a lot of people who I speak to will suddenly say things like they want to run a production environment for their backups. But people don't actually realize that you don't just spin up backup, or you don't just spin up a virtual machine. A very basic environment in Azure is a combination of a few products. So if we start off with virtual machines, so you have your virtual machines for your application deployment and management, and then you need the storage to add on as well. And even then, you need to have VPNs, obviously for connectivity. Now, a lot of people also automatically assume that the virtual machines are backed up. It's also not true, unfortunately. So you need to add backup into there as well. And so those are the 4 main products. So what else can you do with it? It's not just an array of simple virtual machines and backup. You can also do disaster recovery. So if you do have a hybrid deployment, for instance, or a policy where you're going to move towards a hybrid environment or even a disaster recovery, you can do that through Azure. If you have your own data center, you can even do production on-premise and disaster recovery in the cloud, or vice versa. SQL databases. What's great about Azure is SQL licenses are included within the price on the calculator. You can even apply additional bandwidth. And logic apps, so you can actually help automate and run basically anything within Azure so that it can automatically do things. And you can assign your IP addresses as well. So give it a look and have a look through the calculator just to see what other services are available. Licensing, everyone's favorite subject when it comes to Microsoft. So luckily, it's nice and simple. There are 4 types of licensing currently. So you have pay-as-you-go licensing, which is direct with Microsoft. You have enterprise agreements, open licensing, which is through the channel, and CSP licensing, which is also through the channel, through a Tier 1 and Tier 2 method. Now, what we're going to be focusing on today is the CSP licensing side. What you get is a monthly billing option. And you can also have it fully supported, so that's supported by Westcoast. You can run your own cloud products within the CSP and Azure. So if you do have a need for additional software that runs, for instance, backups or your firewalls, then you can add on these products as well. Making margin. Now, what we mean by that is you can actually add on more margin based on what Westcoast are providing to you freely, like the support. Azure is a very tech-led technology, and what's important is the fact that you have the information available to you should you need it. And if you went direct with Microsoft for that, unfortunately that would come at a cost. So if you can actually come direct through CSP, we can offer that for free. Training and development, we are always learning because Azure is ever changing. As we move along, we are doing events coming up in the next few months on the sales side, on the tech side, pretty much anything that we have, and we also do it in collaboration with Microsoft. So we also have experts that can actually help out from Westcoast side and also from Microsoft side. So how do you provision it? Luckily, this is nice and easy as well. So all you need to do is contact csp@westcoastcloud.co.uk, and what we can do, we can actually have an Azure portal available ready for you to use within a few minutes. It all depends on the information you give back. And if we say, for instance, we can spin up a virtual machine, as an example, within, say a few minutes as well. And if you can imagine, you can actually have a full production environment up and ready to go in less than a day. So that's how you actually start provisioning with Azure CSP. Just contact Westcoast, and we can talk you through it. We can even help you self-provision as well as you move along. So the support side. I've mentioned it before, but Westcoast provides support freely to you. And how we can help this, it isn't just on the technical side that we can help you out with. So when we look at the pre-sale side, helping you build out projects and scenarios and everything like that, that's mostly where I sit on the pre-sale side. When it comes to the sales side, we can actually provide you with collateral and information on how you can actually move forward and educate your entire team. The post-sale side, we don't just leave you to get on with it. We actually work with you on an ongoing basis. And if you ever want to contact us, absolutely no problem. We can always help out. And as we move forward and going on, as we add more and more products to our stack, we can actually help out with even more products as we go along as you add them on. When you look at areas like your backups or your networking and firewalls, then again, we can always help you out with that as well. And as I mentioned before, the training and events that we do specifically on Azure, covering all those aspects from pre-sale, sales and post-sales and ongoing support. We have training and events on all of these. So most importantly, how do you make money on it? Well, when you look at Azure in itself, you automatically make your margin from just selling your Azure services through Westcoast. And again, as I mentioned before, you can add on the attached services side. And that's where we have partnered with the right people to actually do this. When we look at it from a disaster recovery point of view and backups, then we look at Data Barracks. If you look at Altaro, who purely do the backups from on-premise into and in the future into Azure, again, we partner with them for a very good reason because they are the best at it. When we look at Barracuda for your firewalls, again, we have people who work within Westcoast and externally at Barracuda who can help you out on the firewall side. And then we have BidTitan, who do an amazing thing with health checks. So if you are thinking about moving to Azure, what you can do is utilize their health checks and have it scan your system and see what can and cannot be moved to Azure, and even the pricing on it as well. So thank you very much for listening to this webinar, and I hope your journey with Azure goes smoothly. And if you actually need any help at all from us, then by all means get in touch with us at csp@westcoastcloud.co.uk, or if you fancy contacting myself, martin.smith@westcoastcloud.co.uk. Thank you for listening.